are taking root throughout our country. People have embraced their personal involvement as never before. We have the intellect, we have the resources, and we have the people to make it happen.
Are people who have been pushed to the corners of society, voices muffled and discounted. As we gather here today, we must embrace the urgency of the moment by acting as their voice. I suspect that none of us has asked for this role. Life would be so much easier if our work were done after handing out that warm meal, or safe bed, or heating voucher. But after being touched by the heartbreaking stories, the innocent faces of our neighbors in need, this role is one that none of us can walk away from. They are our brothers and sisters, and they are depending upon us. So let us bring the best of who we are to these next 2 days. Our collective creativity, our compassion, and our energy, to searching together for solutions that will improve the lives of so many while creating a more compassionate and just society. As I look around this room, I am inspired to see the faces of so many who make a difference in the lives of tens of millions of Americans every day. To see represented here in this room dozens of organizations that people across this country rely on to help them feed their children, pay their electricity bills, or put a roof over their head. And I'm sure you each have your own thoughts as to what we can accomplish here together. Perhaps you're here to discuss ways to get more federal funding for social service programs. Perhaps you're here to join with industry peers to fight for less stringent eligibility requirements for services. Perhaps you're here to identify future partners to strengthen locally led poverty initiatives. While these are all important reasons for taking time away from your families and the needy individuals that rely on you for so much, I can't help but feel that that is simply not enough. So I'll tell you why I'm here. And it's not for the opportunity to buy a nice pair of cowboy boots and a matching hat, although I do think the look could work for me. I'm here because I want to put my organization out of business. I'm here because in 20 years, I don't want to be here. Now it may sound radical or absurd, but let me explain what I mean. Turn on CNBC on any given day, and you'll see dozens of corporate CEOs espousing their business plans for broadening their consumer base. They have grand plans for investment in research and development, elaborate ideas for online advertising, all to get more people to buy what they sell. Well, in the last 2 years, we in this room have found ourselves in a devastating situation, a situation these CEOs would be thrilled to have on their hands. For the number of our consumers are climbing exponentially, and without the investment in research and development and advertising. Agencies around the country are seeing more people walk through their door every day. But contrary to the CEO of McDonald's, I don't want to be able to say in 20 years, over 1 million sold. There are currently over 46 million Americans living in poverty. 1 out of every 5 children lives in a family that does not know where its next meal will come from. Research is showing in increasing ways the link between poverty and chronic conditions like diabetes and heart disease. We are seeing every year the climbing numbers of children who are failing in school because of the impoverished lives they are living. These are devastating statistics. They are trending in the wrong direction, and their implication for individuals and families across this country are frightening. So I don't think it's enough to simply say, we need to bring those numbers down, or we need to make a dent in this problem. What we need is to eradicate this problem. We need to take a stand as a country and say, enough is enough. I don't need another year's worth of census numbers to tell me this needs to be addressed soon. I know that this needs to happen now. As you all know, the needs of the people you see every day are vastly different. We need to recognize that in our approach to service delivery and to act accordingly. Doesn't it also seem to make sense that local communities should have control over their own approach to poverty? Just as a solution for one individual may not work for another, Fort Worth's solutions to local poverty may be vastly different from what works in rural Maine. Just as we see in the Emergency Food and Shelter Program, local communities should have the flexibility to decide how to implement their own poverty relief services. As we watch the growing struggle around national funding for social service programs, it is becoming increasingly important that we not only identify, but incentivize innovative funding streams to our programs as well. Twin Cities Rise in St. Paul, Minneapolis uses a unique funding model that quantifies the amount of money Minnesota government saves when their job placement programs are successful, and then returns that money to the program by way of a payment from the state. If we are to be successful in our mission, we must be utilizing this type of idea and creativity across the country. And just as we see in our nation's approach to disaster response, we must utilize waivers in our poverty relief efforts. The success of disaster relief is found in the ability to respond to the specific needs of families and individuals made possible at that time by federal waivers. These waivers ensure that the limited resources at our disposal can be focused to the precise area of need. Poverty is not a natural disaster. It is one of our own making. But it too could benefit from the ability to focus resources where they are most needed. Let's consider things like the establishment of hunger-free communities and a hold harmless clause to protect the vulnerable from efforts to use reform as an opportunity to simply reduce the reach of the already frayed safety net. Now, I don't expect that after today, everyone in this room will be working on passing the National Opportunity and Community Renewal Act. But this set of principles is one that we should champion. These ideas are not ethereal. We know they have worked in other applications, and we have seen their impressive results. But I would say, if you disagree, then I would ask you, what will work? If you don't agree with these ideas, then now is the time to speak up and put forward what you think will work. Because maintaining the status quo is simply unacceptable. Too many people are relying on us to come up with the bold answers that will forever change their lives. Because if it's not us, then who will? We must all be drum majors in our quest to restore the greatness of this country. Tens of millions of Americans are counting on us, so let the drums begin.